ubivia. I'm going to translate that as mating. So the Gemara asks Manalan, how do we know that you can marry somebody just by mating with them? Amar Rav Avo and Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Avo said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Damakrai, he says it based on the pasuk. It says Bulas Baal. It's talking about where if you find somebody and you want to marry them, and then you decide, you know what, they're not really a right fit for you, and then you go and divorce them. So the pasuk says, oh, sorry, not that pasuk. This one is talking about where a person engages in adultery with somebody else. So it says, Kim Ish Misha Bulas Baal, if you find somebody sleeping with somebody who's already been married. So the Torah uses the term Bulas Baal. So the Gemara says that teaches us Melamed Shnasa Labal Ayidei Be'ilah. So the husband becomes a husband through mating with the lady. Amar Reb Zera. So Reb Zera said to Rabbi Avo, some people said it was Reish Lakish who said it to Rabbi Yochanan. Kura, you disgusted Zu Shoshana Rabbi with what Rabbi taught you, Ba'ala, from a different pasuk, where it says, Ki kach isha Ba'ala, if you're going to take a wife and then mate with her, Melamed Sheniknes B'Via, which teaches us that you can get married through mating with somebody. So it's a different pasuk than Rav Avo said to Rabbi Yochanan. So Gemara says, Ime Hasam, if you were to learn it from the pasuk that Rabbi brought, Havamina, you might think, Adam Kaddish v'Hadar Ba'al. Since the pasuk starts with the word Ki Yika, you might think that prior to mating with the lady, you have to get married using one of the other ways, either with the shtar or with kasa. So Kamash Malan, that's why we use a different pasuk, which doesn't mention the idea of yikaf, of taking the wife through any other means. Maskefla Abba Parmomo. So Abba Parmomo asks a question. Im Kane, if you're going to say that that's the reason why we can't use the pasuk on Rabbi, Nara Hamorasa Damarachmana, where the Torah says that if you have Kiya, Nara Psulam, Rasa Lish, if you have a virgin child, a virgin girl child who has been engaged to somebody, and then somebody else finds her and sleeps with her. So in that case, the person is killed. So how do you have a situation where you have somebody who's been engaged, but she's still a virgin? So the Gemara says, in that case, you're going to kill the person who engages with this engaged lady. How are you going to have it? How is she engaged? If she's going to be and then afterwards he goes and engages and mates with her, so then she's no longer a virgin. If he engages with her but he did not mate with her, so then again, we're not talking about a case where they get married through shtar or kasef. We're talking about a case where they're using the third method, which is mating. So if he engaged with her but he didn't mate with her, then it's nothing. There's no relationship between them. So how would you kill this person?
So basically mating is not enough for a marriage?
Well, the Mishnah says, right? So any one of the three can be done. Either shtar, ksuba, well, not a ksuba from nowadays, but shtar, a kasef, or bia. And if he hasn't done any of the three, then how is she engaged? Huh?
Marriage. Still need to get. It's not called
Betrothed.
Betrothed, yeah.
Yeah. So how are you betrothing her?
It's just words and not.
Just words. So the Gemara says, "Lav klumo." If you're not doing anything, then you haven't done anything. No, I mean, I think that's what the Gemara is saying. So the Gemara says, "Amrul Rabbanim Kamei Abaya." So somebody from the student said in front of Abaya, "Eshkachas la." We can find such a case. Kigan shabala aros shlekadarka. If they mated, but they did not do it the regular way. So the regular way is the regular way, and shlekadarka is considered to be anal. So they did it in a way that was abnormal. So in that case, she's still a virgin, but she's also engaged by this act to the future husband. Amalei Abaya. So Abaya says to this guy, "Ad kan l'kligi Rabbi v'Rabbanan ala b'acher." That the Gemara is, the argument between Rabbi and Rabbanan. There, and he doesn't reference which argument. He says that argument only applies to somebody else other than the husband. Ava Baal. But the husband, in everybody agrees that if he does engage with her anally, then that makes her mated for the purpose of being his wife. So Gemara says, well, what argument are you talking about? Nobody introduced an argument previously. So Mahi, Tanya, we learned in Brisa, if there are 10 people who mated with her, and she still remains a virgin after that. All of them get punished by stoning.
This is so is it saying that she's like Isula? Is that a virgin?
Yeah, still is a virgin.
If it's done irregularly?
Yeah, if it's done irregularly, then she's still a virgin, but she's also engaged in sex with these people. So since she was previously engaged,
So that's high misa.
they would kill all these people for doing
Even if
that,
it is irregular?
even if it is irregular. Sigma is going to determine what we learned that irregular sex is considered sex. So the Gemara says that the halacha of the Rabbanan is all of them get killed beskila with stoning. But Rabbi disagrees. Rabbi Emor, he says ani yarishan. Rabbi says, I say, Harishan Beskila, that the first person that does this gets stoned, Vikulam Nechanek, and all the rest of them get strangulation.
What's strangulation?
What is strangulation in Hebrew? Chenek. So Amar Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak, we find Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak says he offers a different case, Mishkachas la Kigan Shkitcha B'shtar, where he uses a document in order to become engaged, and therefore she hasn't experienced any relations with them.
The woman in the show, the end of the show, the Shevet Yamin, was she also betrothed as well, or was she just a mistress?
She was what do they call a non-wife? They call them
Concubine.
concubine.
So is that right?
The entire tribe was nearly wiped out.
Yeah.
So Amar Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak Mishkach is like where he engaged with her in a form of a document, and therefore she became his betrothed or married. But he did not engage with mating with her. So hell the Gomer Omaitzi, Gomer Omak. Since we learned about when somebody becomes divorced, you do not need to do a farewell mating session. You also do not need to do a welcome mating session when you get married to somebody. You can marry them without mating with them. So Rabbi Yechanan, what does he say? Hi Bala. So Rabbi Yechanan is the one who said that we learn it from the pasuk Bu'ulas Baal. It's interesting that none of the Mefarshim identify the fact that the Torah has 2 times where it says Bu'ulas Baal. First time is by Avraham Avinu when Sarah was captured by Avimelech, and Avimelech couldn't perform, and God punished him on behalf of Sarai. So God visits him during the night with a vision and tells him, that lady, by the way, is Bulas Baal. She's married already. But the Gemara does not learn it from there. The Gemara learns it from if you find somebody who's already previously married and you engage with them. Anyway, so what does Rabbi Yochanan do with the word Obala? So the Gemara says, he needs it, Zu Niknas Vibia, Ben Ama Ha'ivriya Niknas Vibia, that a regular lady can become somebody's wife through mating, but the Hebrew maidservant cannot. You have to buy her with money.
Why do you think that is?
Because she's a slave.
No choice.
You can't go to the slave market and start sleeping with the lady and say, this is mine because I slept with her. You can't pay for her.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
Then you could.
Then you can assign somebody to marry her.
Could the buyer also acquire her for his own wife?
Yeah.
Yes, the emancipate first.
No, doing so emancipates her.
Oh, because he can't marry a slave?
No, she's Jewish. She's not
Oh.
really a slave. She's been
She's
sold
Jewish,
into
right?
slavery by her father because her father can't support her.
Like an indentured servant.
So there's a mitzvah that if you have such an indentured servant, the mitzvah is to marry her and not keep her in such a low status.
I think for the Jewish like girls, I think it was like 6 years, or if they turn 12, whichever one came first, they were released.
And when you release a Jewish slave, you have to give them provisions and money in order to set them up in life. So anyway, so he says that an Alma Ivriya cannot be acquired by mating with her. Sagadai Chachamina, you might think, Tesi b'kal v'chemer, that you can learn it from a kal v'chemer, mi-yavama, from the case of the Yavama. Yavama is where there's two brothers, one brother marries and does not have any children, and then he dies, and then the wife of the first brother marries the second brother, and the child that they produce is named after the first brother. So the lady is called the Yavama. Ma Yavama she'ein niknas b'kesef.
As if it's a boy.
Huh?
What if it's a girl?
I don't know, but I think they try again.
Get five daughters on this thing.
Gotta try again.
I don't know. We don't do this kind of thing anymore.
We don't.
No, we engage in Chalisa instead.
There's no Yivamas. I mean, when there's a chalitza, people go, "Hey, that's 1 in 5 years or so." So Yivamas are just zeroed out.
I don't know about all the customs throughout all the world, but I believe that we don't do Yavama anymore at all. Failure to do it right results in a violation of a Torah law against marrying your wife or your brother.
Incest.
Ah,
Incest.
I can't do it.
Incest.
Incest?
incest.
Incest
Yeah, I think
in English?
prohibition.
I don't know. Maya Vama Shane Nicholas Picasso. So this lady, she doesn't have to be acquired by the second brother, the living brother with money. She's automatically acquired. So Nicholas Bibia, so all he has to do is meet with her. So Nicholas Picasso. So this one, the Ama Ivriya, who can be bought with money, and in Nicholas Bibia, can she also be acquired by mating with her? So comes along the pasuk and says, no, that's not the case. Only a regular lady can be acquired with Bia, not an Ama Ivriya. So the Gemara says that Kal V'chemer is very weak because Mali Yavama Shkein Skuka V'Medes. So the Yavama doesn't have to do anything. She's already set aside for this person. She can't marry anybody else. So on the other hand, an Ama Ivriya is available for the grabs. Whoever wants her can buy her. Ama Ivriya. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Ama Ivriya.
She's up for sale.
Yeah, anybody who wants can grab her.
The Yavama is reserved for that guy.
Right.
unless she does chalitza.
Even so, she's still reserved until he does it.
So it's chalitza, then she's free.
Yeah.
We just had that case, Berkowitz, who used to be here, but his wife couldn't remarry until she got chalitza from the brother who lived in Arizona. So she had to go to Arizona. He was not interested in giving her chalitza.
He wanted to marry him?
No, he didn't want anything to do with the Yiddishkeit.
Oh.
The rabbis in Israel said you can't marry a new man unless you settle that one. So after a few months, the rabbis put pressure on him and he said, okay, if she comes to my house in Arizona, for 5 minutes I'll go outside with the waist in and
No,
she
spit
could
at
do
her.
it. Right?
And I'll spit at her.
Yes, and the shoe or whatever you could do. And she did that, then she went to her wedding 2 weeks ago.
Very nice.
And she could go back home and marry. And then has been waiting 6 months to get the squeeze to 7.
Yeah.
So, because also they got married when they're older, so I don't know, if she was with the children, like it makes them, but when you get married older, like, is that an issue? Like you remarry, I guess, when you had a baby, had a kid by then.
He's saying she wouldn't be able to produce a kid.
Yeah, like even if, like if she's menopausal, and then they're married, then
I don't
if
think
he
that
got
matters.
first, she's gonna have to
Yeah, it
do,
doesn't matter.
you have to do
I mean,
chalitza.
they're both 60 or 70 at
Yeah.
the new couple. It's gonna
Right.
get married in the 60s or
I'm
50s.
saying it's probably more common than you think in older couples want to get remarried. I think.
Yeah.
It occurs more often than you think.
Oh, where there's no brother, there's no child by
No
the first
kids, yeah.
husband.
Yeah.
No boy child.
No, any child.
Right.
Any child.
So girls, but they have to be Jewish because they.
If
If
they're
they
not
have
Jewish,
kids from a previous marriage, it
because
doesn't.
the lady's not
doesn't
Jewish
help.
either.
No, if the deceased husband had been married, and he had children, but they weren't Jewish because they had children before he converted in. It doesn't count. So,
I don't know.
Correct.
I mean, there were complications like that, but it not matter. Rabbis wouldn't let her marry. So she.
All right. Somali vamos against quick over med. Sagadai takamina, you might think, how because of im acheres like that with regard to the Amma Hevriya, it says if somebody else were to buy her. So Ikisha because of the acheres, that she might be compared to a regular lady. Ma acheres mikna bebia, just like a regular lady can be acquired by mating with her Amma Hevriya mikna bebia. So a Jewish maidservant might also be acquired that way. Kamashmalan, this pasuk teaches you that only a regular lady can be acquired by mating with her, not a female maidservant.
Wow.
No, that answers.
Huh?
That answers that question.
Yeah, sort of. Rebbe. And so, what does Rebbe have to say with this?
Yeah.
I swear Minale. So, how does he know that the difference exists between a regular lady and an Amma Ivriya? So it says Ki yikach ish isha ba'ala. It doesn't have to say it that way. It could have spared us the extra letter hey, and it should have said Ki yikach ba'al ish isha or Ki yikach ish ba'al isha. It doesn't have to say ba'ala. So from the extra hey, we're talking about a specific type of person, and not any type of person. Because when you add the extra hey at the end, it turns it into a definitive ba'ala her.
Being a free woman,
Being a regular lady.
full lady,
Yeah.
we'll call it, not a maidservant.
Yeah.
It's important. Hey.
Every letter is important, yeah. So my bala, so what does it mean that it says that bala shmami natati? You can learn from here 2 things. First of all, that she can be acquired by mating with her, and second of all, that it has to be her, not somebody else. Who's the somebody else we're talking about? The Amma Hevriya, the female maidservants which cannot be acquired by means of mating. So the Rava Damar Bar Ahina Asperali, according to Rava, who said that this guy Bar Ahina explained to me something. What did he say? He says, Ki yikach ish isha ba'ala. from the same verse that Rabbi learned, he says when a person takes a lady and mates with her, Kiddushin Hamasurin Labia, this teaches us that the Kiddushin, getting married to somebody, has to be the type of marriage which eventually leads to mating. Can't marry somebody and remain celibate. Havi Kiddushin. So such a marriage is Kiddushin. Kiddushin Shem Masurin Labia. If Kiddushin does not lead to Bia, they have a Kiddushin, then it's not marriage. That's what Barahina explained to Rava. So according to that, right? So he already uses the term Mubala for that purpose. He doesn't use it for the fact that an Alma Ivriya is different. So how did Michael Neymar? So how does he learn that an Alma Ivriya is different? The female maidservant is different. In Cain Nechtav Kra, the pasuk should have said, "I ba'ala." Should have says, if you take a wife, or you mate with her. Why does it say and you mate with her? So the and means that in order to take a wife, you have to mate with her. Otherwise, she's not a wife.
Obviously after betrothal.
Yeah.
But what happens if it's before? Is there like a diavid there or something?
You're saying you want to be able to get married without mating with your wife ever?
It's the opposite. It's
So you're saying what happens if you have relations before betrothal?
right, premarital sex.
Okay, so then it
Premarital.
probably depends on your intent and the agreement you have with the lady. If you're just having promiscuous sex,
Right.
which is forbidden,
Yeah.
you're not married.
Right, yeah, of course, but. So it means practically nothing from a marriage standpoint. It means it's nothing.
Having had sex previously does not mean that you are
Yeah.
married, unless you say that you're going to do that on behalf of getting married, and she agrees
Mhm.
that she wants to get married through this act.
Uh-huh. Not like I've done it.
So basically, everything they has to have. an
Don't
agreement
try it at
for
home.
it, whether it's like with money or with.
Yeah, you can't marry somebody against their will. Only a child can be done,
with
can
the
be married
fathers.
against the will with the father's consent.
See, so we could have done with the cookie yesterday, 2 days.
Levy,
So,
Levy,
so Rava has
question, Levy?
yes,
Question. Look at the phone, question here. This discussion about marriage occurring upon consummation of the relationship, the marital relations. Is this presented as an argument or is that a statement of halakha? Do you know? The reason I'm asking is so many times we've learned that marriage occurs at the chuppah. That's the final step. And this seems to be adding a qualification.
yeah. So Barahina explained to Rava that it depends on if it leads to mating. If it doesn't, then the chuppah and all of that happened previously doesn't mean anything.
So if they separate, then I'm wondering if they would need a get. Was it not a valid marriage or was it a marriage that's faulty? I don't know, just wondering.
I guess you'd have to come up with a case where you get married and go through the whole rigmarole, but you can't engage in mating with the lady. I guess if there's something physically wrong with you, then maybe you couldn't do it.
Okay, thank you.
But that's the opinion of Barahina, and you seem to be asking a question in practical halacha. I don't know what the halacha is. So anyway, so according to Barahina, Michael Lememar, what are you going to say as far as the difference between a regular lady and an Alma Ivriya? So Gemara says, "Im kein nichtav Rachmana ay ba'ala," or married, or he mates with her. Why does it say uba'ala and he mates with her? Shma mina, that you can learn from there the fact that it says uba'ala, that and he engages with mating with her. That teaches you that you have to be the condition has to lead to that. Rabbi. So what does Rabbi have to say with Kiddushin Amsur and Labia? What does he have to say about Barahina's Sava? He says, Hi Bulaspal, my Avidle. Sorry. Rabbi is the one who said we learn it from Ubala. He doesn't learn it from Bulas Baal. Rabbi Yochanan is the one who said we learn it from Bulas Baal. So knowing that, what does the Torah mean when it says Bulas Baal, according to Rabbi? He needs this for Baal Isa Isa Bula Shleikadak, that a husband can convert her into somebody who's had marital relations, even if he engages with her anally, not regularly. But a regular person cannot do that. If a regular person engages in anal sex with a lady, that doesn't make them married. The famous case with Rachel, Rivka, and it says, Bisula v'ishla yida'a.
Right.
She was a virgin, but nobody knew her. Why does it say she was a virgin and nobody knew her? I mean, obviously that's the case. The fact that everybody else around her used to engage in anal sex and then reserve their virginity for whoever they're going to eventually marry.
When it says knowing someone, that implies that you have relations. See the-
Yeah, knowing somebody
Chava,
intimately.
right? Chava, it says
Yeah.
Chava. I think the same is true in this case. So.
So, regular people, if you engage in anal sex, not that that's advised, but if you did, you do not convert the lady into a married lady. However, if you were the husband and you did that, then yes, by doing so, you become married to her and she is your wife. The Rebbe actually holds such a concept, such an idea. We learned in the Brisa that if 10 people came, and she remains a virgin even after them, Kulam Biskila, and they all get punished with stoning. But Rebbe says, he says, I say, Harisha and Biskila, Vikulam Mechanik, that the first one is stoned, but the rest are all strangled.
Right.
And the reason for that is because once the first one engages with the anal sex with the lady, she changes her status from whatever she was previously, and now everybody else gets punished differently. So that means that 10 random people, the first person, whoever is the first, is the one who converts her into status of a wife.
When she's a married woman.
So Rebbe disagrees with that idea. So you can't learn that from the pasuk Bulas Baal because he doesn't hold it.
She's just raped.
Huh?
If she's raped,
Doesn't say rape.
says just that, of course, maybe.
10 people. All unnaturally.
So if it's not it's an abnormal relation, then you need to have the other two conditions. You need to give a star, right? Or
Well, that's what we said previously, but Rabbi is saying here that the first person changes her status, which means that that's not true. According to Rabbi says just in mating with somebody, even when you mate with somebody anally, that changes her from a regular lady into a married lady.
that's according to
That's according to Rabbi.
everything.
Wow.
I think there were other opinions that said it was
Yeah, everybody else disagrees. So there's an argument between Rabbi and Rabbana. So Rabbi holds that her status changes. So you can't say that Rabbi would learn from the pasuk Bulas Baal that only a husband can change her into a wife by engaging in anal sex. Everybody can.
used to say that they're husband and wife, that you don't give the other one of the other two conditions. It's
Right.
abnormal relation. And that's just no.
Well, Rabbi disagrees respectfully. He disagrees.
Respectfully respect.
So Amar Reb Zera says next page, Moida Rabbi admits the Inyan Knas when we're talking about a fine that everybody gives to somebody who is seduces lady, the Kula Mishalme, that everybody has to pay. So if she was a non-betrothed lady and they engaged in this action, everybody would have to pay the knas.
Okay, if she's engaged, they kill the guys.
If she's engaged, they kill him, yeah.
And if she's not engaged, then they just pay the fine to the father.
Yes, but do they actually have to pay the fine if they haven't engaged in regular sex?
Oh, it's abnormal?
Yeah.
That'd be a different fine because
And is the fine?
Rabbi
each-
says that that he admits that they all have to pay the same fine.
it's the same thing.
It's the same equal amount or pulled together in one fine?
Well, they share.
No, each one has to pay his own fine. But what's interesting about that statement is if the first person who engages with anal sex with this lady were to convert her into a wife by doing so,
Whoa,
then everybody else wouldn't be paying a fine.
they don't get killed.
They would get killed. So the fact that they all have to pay the fine means that even though Rabbi says there's a difference when it comes to an engaged lady, when it comes to a regular lady, it doesn't mean that she becomes married by that act.
Just by that, yeah.
Right. As to why the punishment changes with an engaged lady, he doesn't say, or Reb Zera doesn't say.
Just to be clear, in order for the subsequent men to be subject to the death penalty, there had to be two witnesses and they had to be warned. It's not just the mere fact.
Yeah, so we have two guys standing in the corner watching all this going on, and everybody who gets up to go and do this act, they warn them and say, if you do this just like everybody else before you, you're also going to get killed.
And if not, she drinks soda.
No, Sota is when you completely different story where you're already previously married, and the husband warns you don't spend any time alone with this guy, and she goes and does it. And it's two witnesses that say she was alone with him. But not that there's two witnesses that say that she engaged in anything with him, because once there's two witnesses who do that, the Sota water is not used. So the Gemara says, Mashna Miktala. So why is there a difference from Rabbi's opinion when it comes to killing them as opposed to giving them the knas? The difference is because there's a specific pasuk that says that the person who has slept with this married lady has to be killed. But just that person is killed. We're talking about the case of a rape. So you don't punish the lady for having been the victim. So the Gemara says Rabbanan, right? So now Rabbi learns that there's a difference between the first person to rape this lady and the other people. He learns it from the word levada. So the Gemara says, in that case, why do the Rabbanan say that all the people have the same punishment? Why don't they say on just that person has one punishment and everybody else has a different punishment? So Rabbanan have levada. My abdile. What do they do with that extra word in pasuk? They need it. The Tanya a different case of finding people engaged in mating, where they were in the city and the lady does not cry out and complain. So then she must have been willingly engaged. In that case, both of them get killed.
Same thing.
So since both of them get killed over there, the pasuk in the other case has to say, no. In this case, only the man gets killed and the wife and the lady does not get killed at all. Huh?
It's adultery.
Well, she's claiming after the fact that it was rape. But the pasuk is talking about a case where she didn't do anything actively to protest.
This was foolish. No?
Huh?
This was foolish.
Yeah.
About this.
She has to cry out if she's in the city.
She has an obligation to protest.
But she's fired because she's already betrothed for marriage.
She's chayiv misa because she didn't protest. She was willing participant.
And
What's
she's
wrong with having a relationship with a regular person?
No,
Not
she was
Engaged.
engaged or
That's
married.
what I asked.
Yeah. So Mesu Gam Shneim, the pasuk says that both of them have to be killed. That they actually have to both be killed in the same fashion, or in the same way.
more or less don't rape an engaged girl.
Huh?
Don't rape an engaged girl.
Don't rape anybody. But
Those girls, yeah, right.
Pasuk is talking about a specific case where the rape is occurring to an engaged girl. Yes.
But if some man rapes a non-engaged girl in the city,
Then you're punished with a fine.
Betrothed and engaged.
no. If she's engaged, then both get killed.
Right.
But if she's just a stom woman, then you get to pay the guy gets to pay the fine.
And if the lady wants, he has to marry her.
Yeah, and can't divorce her.
Right.
You don't kill the guy.
So it's up to her, it's her choice.
It's up to her to marry him. Yeah. If she wants, he is forced to marry him. If not, then he just pays the fine. No, you don't kill. So there's actually an argument between Rashi and Tosfos about what does it mean that they're equal. Rashi says it means that there's an adult who's engaging with relations with a child, and Tosfos says no, that doesn't work. I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, Divir Rabbi Yosha. That is what Rabbi Oshia said Mesek Amshneim means. So since that there's a distinction between the different types of rape, whether you're going to be killing the guy as well as the girl or not. So that's what the Torah says, the word levadai, that in certain cases, only the man is killed and not the lady is killed. Rabbi Yonasan, Omer, what does Rabbi Yonasan say? He says, Meisha Isha sheshchavim levadai. And the pasuk says that the man who raped the lady is the only one who gets killed. If the Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan, he says, "Hi, Svar Minale." How does he know that they have to be shavim ka'achad? Im kain nichtev kra b'ulas ish b'ulas baal shpamin atarti. That originally, when we said that the pasuk says, "Ki yimatze ish chevim misha b'ulas baal," if you find a man who's sleeping with a married lady, it doesn't have to say b'ulas baal. It could have said b'ulas ish. That she had engaged with mating with somebody doesn't mean that she had engaged with mating with the husband. So the fact that it says that she had engaged in relations with the husband means both scenarios. Number one, that the husband, by engaging with relations with her, changes her status differently than a regular person. And the second thing that we learn is I forgot what the second thing we learn is. All right, what time is it?
6:18.
I guess we'll ask Rabbi Svar what his name the second thing comes.
If there's
I guess we can go to the next question and stop. The Gemara asks the question: does the start of mating require the person as a wife, or do we wait till the end? What is the start and what is the end? The start is
over here. First, that one can betroth a woman through intercourse, and second, that only a woman husband can render her a non-virgin by intercourse in an atypical manner.
oh, okay. There you go. Thank you. So when does the actual acquiring take place? When they first engage, when it first enters her, or Sakpia is when they finish. So nafkamina can go in shahara ba, apash the other vikibla Kiddushin miacher. So the difference would be if they started engaging, and then while they were starting to do that, she sticks her hand out and she says, "Give me the money." It's from somebody else. Somebody else is trying to marry in the same way. Sorry, in a different way, using money. So which one is she married to? Inami, another difference would be the Kohen Gadol. For the case of the Kohen Gadol, Kohen Gadol has a positive obligation to marry only somebody who is a virgin, the Kokani Psula B'Bia, that he has to marry somebody who's a virgin And he does so by means of mating with her.
Oh,
So if he does so by means of mating with her, so once he first starts mating with her, she's no longer a virgin. But if he only acquires her at the end, then he's marrying somebody who's not a virgin. So what's the din? Anybody who does it has a mind to finish.
ah,
And with that enigmatic statement, I think we're gonna end here.
there's something earlier on children, mating with children that you said.
There's an argument between Rashi and Tosfos when it says in Gemara Mesegam Shneim that they both have to be killed in the case of a rape in the city.
Right.
The Gemara says that from there we learn that they have to both be equal, of equal status. The Gemara doesn't explain what does it mean to be equal. Rashi says that means that if you have an adult and a child, then they're not equal and they both don't get killed. It has to be two adults. Tosfos argues with that and says that's not what the pasuk means, and it's a giant Tosfos if you want to go through it, but equal status doesn't mean that.
On,
That's pedophile.
on,
I mean, the whole
Right.
thing today is adults with little kids.
Right.
So according to one, they'd both be killed, but the kid and the.
No, Rashi says that if the child was entered into marriage by her father,
Uh-huh.
and then after she married this guy,
Right,
somebody else comes along and rapes her or has sex with her
right.
in the city, she would not be punished because she's a child.
Right.
Tosfos says that might be true, might not be true, but that's not what the Gemara is talking about. The Gemara is talking about something else.
on our halacha, it says that the child is not punishment because they're not old enough to receive punishment. So it would just be the adult.
Even if she enjoys it. So.
Wow, these are very modern things. These thousands of years old
It's
That's
discussion.
a pity.
That's right.
That's a pity. Don't you wish we could have left this behind?
Thank you.
Generosity of that time. It's considered degenerate and punishable.
good day.
Become the norm.
Good day, hello, thank you.
Acceptable, done publicly. Wow.